Have you ever wondered what's the difference between coaching, counseling, and talking therapy, and which one is the best for you? If so, then this video might help you to decide. Jungian coaching uses the theory and the principles of Jungian psychology within coaching framework. The name Jungian comes from Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss psychoanalysis, one of the founder of modern depth psychologies. So in Jungian coaching, the main question we ask is, what's in the unconscious that's driving my life? And the purpose of the coaching is to find this and change this, what's driving your life unconsciously, into conscious strength. Let's take an example of procrastination. That's something that many of my clients find very challenging and difficult. And we often work with procrastination in Jungian coaching session. So there are a lot of self-help books and a lot of advice on the internet and a lot of apps that help you to, that are supposed to help you organize your life and to manage your workload and your time much better. But somehow you might been trying a lot of them, but nothing's changed. From Jungian coaching perspective, there is a reason for you behind your procrastination. In other words, it's your unconscious that is sending a message to you through that procrastination. So your unconscious is trying to tell you something by making you procrastinate. So the first step in Jungian coaching is to discover this message. And for everyone is going to be, it might be, very different message. That's why from Jungian perspective, Jungian coaching perspective, the self-help books don't help very often, do not solve the problem very often, because it's very individual. So I had a client who wanted to be a professional musician. She wanted to make a career of music, of producing music. And but at the same time, she felt stuck. It was difficult for her to move on. She knew all the steps she needed to take in order to progress, but for some reason, she wouldn't be taking those steps. So paradoxically, she had this dream, but she was procrastinating fulfilling this dream. So the first step in her case and in all the other cases is to find out what's the reason for this feeling of being stuck, of procrastinating to fulfill the dream. And in order to discover that, we use the technique called active imagination. That's a common technique used in many depth psychology approach. And the technique is to facilitate a dreamlike state in a client, in which the client is having a conversation with a symbol, an animal or person, strange creatures like dragons. It's because it's like it's like dreamlike state. So of course, it's not going to be rational and logical. That's because our unconscious, our subconscious talks through the symbols. It talks through symbolic language. And I have several tools, of course, to facilitate this conversation, this active imagination. These are the card we use, the archetypal card, psychological archetypes we use during coaching session. These are the cards of, for example, the trickster, archetypes of personality that we use during the session to help activate this active imagination. Sometimes I might be using tarot cards, not as a fortune-telling tool, but as a resource, as a repertoire of deep symbology and archetypes. So, for example, this card, which is called the Knight of Swords, can represent the hero, whereas the Empress can represent the archetype of a mother or creator of. So what we discovered through the active imagination technique, in the case of my client who wanted to be a professional musician, is that she wanted to become not only a musician, she wanted to become a very famous musician, a very recognized musician. She wasn't even aware of that. This awareness comes later through our work. And that obviously was a very heavy burden stopping her to progress, to build this new career. Because if that's the expectation, I have to be a famous musician. You can imagine how difficult it may be, and that was the reason she was procrastinating to take those steps to bring her closer to fulfill the dreams. So the next step was to focus on and work with this big expectation of she put on herself being famous. And there is nothing wrong wanting to be famous, wanting to be recognized. Why not? But in this situation, it was stopping her to move forward. And that's the problem. So we started to look at some other areas, some other talents maybe, she could fulfill this dream of being recognized, or we focus on trying to lessen this connection between music and fame so that she could start moving on slowly, progressing slowly on her journey towards becoming a professional musician, but in a more fun, light way, without having this heaviness of I need to be famous. So Jungian coaching will definitely not prove to be helpful in very deep depressions, deep traumas, PTSD syndromes, sexual traumas, or psychotic states. But Jungian coaching is best for midlife crisis, so-called midlife crisis, both in men and women, people who are looking for new life purposes, for new direction, people who try to find new meanings in life. But also, from my experience, it's very helpful in relationship crisis, finding a partner, finding love, money challenges, starting new business, starting new careers. And if you're still not sure whether Jungian coaching is for you, the best thing to do is to book the introductory session when we've got 90 minutes to look into your dilemma, to taste the active imagination technique, and to see whether you want to go deeper with that.